Hey, what is going on, Miami Dolphins fans? Welcome back to the Fins Up Network. It's Ben Morgan, and it is the final preview video leading up to the Dolphins' Week 1 matchup against the Patriots. Now, I'm going to be doing this particular preview video a variety of different ways throughout the season, sort of depending on opponent. But regardless, this is the video where I will be always giving my official game prediction. But what I mean in regards to doing this video a few different ways, for example, sometimes maybe I will have a guest on that covers the opposing team to discuss that a little bit more in depth, find out some aspects of our team that maybe they're concerned about, or maybe they feel that they can exploit in that week's game. While other weeks, like this week, for example, I'm going to seek out some viewer questions about the upcoming game, give my thoughts, give my opinions on those questions before ultimately giving my final prediction on the game. But regardless of how I do it, just know that these will always be the final preview video that include my outright prediction, likely released Saturday morning, like today's video. So with that, let's jump into this video, knock out some of those questions. And by the way, if you want your question included in these videos moving forward, I will always make a post on the YouTube community page so you can respond to that with your question. Otherwise, hit me up on Twitter. It's at FinsUpNetwork. You can see it right there. Or just go ahead and comment on one of the other preview videos that I will have throughout the week, because I should always have 2 preview videos that are released before this one. And let's hear your week 1 score predictions as well. Drop those in the comments. Let's get a bunch of Dolphins fans predicting W's. So let's go on to the first question. Question 1, who is covering DeVante Parker? It won't be Xavier Howard. I love the added commentary there. Because if you look at this team, the New England Patriots, if you look at their top 4 wide receivers, you got Jacoby Myers, DeVante Parker, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne. You don't necessarily have a dominant wide receiver there that you would want Howard tailing, following around the field for the entire game. So at this point in time, I think they may opt to keep Howard just on one side, which may actually end up making it easier for whoever plays the other boundary, whether it's Nick Needham or whether it's Crossan or whether it's Iggy, whoever they put on the other side, because that cornerback, whoever's playing boundary on the other side, is going to be far less experienced than what we had from a guy like Byron Jones. So maybe letting that new guy stick to one side would be a little bit easier. And honestly, maybe at some point, if Parker or Myers starts warming up a little bit and you want Howard to tail one guy, fine. But for the most part, I don't see New England as a team where you necessarily need to sign one cornerback to a specific guy. So I've got the coverage of Parker chalked up to essentially a team effort. Let's jump into the next question. What defense do you think the Patriots will use to try to slow down Tyreek and Waddle? So I think the Patriots will do everything possible not to fall victim, not be the first team that it lets Hill or Waddle have that big play, beat them over the top. So I think we're going to see a lot of deep safety looks, try to get Miami to take a bunch of underneath stuff, whatever is made available to them. That type of coverage is going to make the Miami Dolphins running the ball effectively even more important, so we can get positive yards on first downs and we're extending drives and we're not constantly going 3 and out, because it's the old Bill Belichick motto where you don't let your opponent's top strength beat you. You got to do whatever you can to take that away. So I think they are going to take just extended measures to make sure they don't fall victim to the big play, meaning lots of safety help and playing that bend but don't break defense. So that's what I think they've got in store for that. Next question here. How do you think the Dolphins will game plan to overcome the Patriots' pressure and blitz packages, knowing the weakness the Miami Dolphins have at the offensive line? And so this question was actually prefaced by saying the Patriots know they don't have the corners to cover Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle, so it's safe to assume that they will try to disrupt the Dolphins' offense by getting after Tua. Honestly, I think my answer to this question sort of relates to my answer to the last question as well. I think Miami takes a lot of those underneath options early, tries to get the ball out quick, especially if they see blitzes coming or if they're struggling holding those blocks up front. And we know Mike McDaniel, he's going to want to get those running backs involved in the passing game as well. So maybe we see a few more dump offs or a few more quick passes to Chase Edmonds, to Raheem Mostert. But it also, once again, for me, it's going to continue. It's a kind of a common theme for me throughout the week of preview videos, establishing that run game early. Because if Miami can get that run game early, if New England has to adapt how they're playing that, if they have to adapt to play more to counter the run, maybe we see that play action become a bit more impactful. We get more chunk yardage plays in the passing game rather than settling for those quick passes. And there's one thing I want to note as well, because I think we've seen it in preseason, and it sounds like it from training camp as well. But this offense has that ability to get plays of like 8 to 12 yards, like relatively easily. And I don't mean that it's super easy that you can just chalk up a play and you're going to get 8 to 12 yards every single time. But relatively speaking, compared to some of the constipated offenses that we've seen in the past, it's a lot easier in this scheme versus the pulling of teeth just to get a single 8-yard completion that we've seen in the past. So I think we're in an advantage there. I also think that we're going to see a more naturally flowing offense already in week one, to where we're not just simply taking what the defense is allowing, because Mike McDaniel has that ability to make a lot of his plays at the initial hike of the ball to look very similar to one another, and that sometimes can allow him and the offense to just control and dictate the flow of the game versus what we've experienced in the past, where it's always been the opposing defense that has been dictating these things. Let's do one more question. How will the media cope when the Patriots get exposed by Tua for the fourth time in a row? Honestly, quite possibly my favorite question ever received. I just love how it was worded more so than anything. And I'd like to say that Tua going 4-0 against Belichick and the Patriots would help spin the media, kind of spin the narrative the other way. But honestly, there's just going to be another excuse as to why Miami won. I think Tua is one of the only quarterbacks I've seen judged like this. If Miami wins, it'll because, oh, the defense did good. They had a bunch of turnovers. They scored a touchdown. Or, oh, look at, they had to surround him with Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle for him to be good. He's carrying Tua now. I honestly don't think that Tua would get the credit that would be deserved to him until he puts up a lot of games in a row that are really damn good. And the win-loss record is going to have to be reflected by that as well. Think about it this way. If he throws the 2 deep balls that Josh Allen completed on Thursday night, we're going to watch media members spend the next 72 plus hours wondering why the ball didn't travel 2 yards further. It's a weird obsession. It's an unhealthy obsession. And unfortunately, I don't see the media relaxing on Tua until something fairly drastic happens. But let's jump into my official prediction. Because according to me, we're starting out the season 1-0. I got the Dolphins winning 27-14. Predicting an NFL score and how it plays out is nearly impossible, but this is how I got to my score. I honestly could see these two teams feeling each other out right away. Maybe things start out a little bit slow, even a little bit sloppy. Think back to that Thursday night Bills-Rams game. But eventually, sort of like I said earlier, I think Miami's offense can and will dictate the flow of this game to the point where we feel like we're in pretty decent control by the fourth quarter. And I do have, as you see, 27 there. I do have Miami settling for a couple of field goals in this one. But I think with how fresh things are with the offense and the offensive line coming together for the first time in actual game action, I don't think that what we see on Sunday is going to be anything close to the finished product that we're going to see moving forward, at least offensively. So hopefully settling for a couple of field goals doesn't come back to bite us, but I think we could get it done enough offensively. And I think there are just way too many question marks right now on the Patriots offense to think that they could just score at ease against this defense, even without Byron Jones. Because honestly, if there's a game I don't feel quite as worried about Byron missing, it's this one against the Patriots. So hopefully I didn't jinx anything right there by saying that. But that is my score prediction, and I've got the Miami Dolphins getting out to a 1-0 start. Let's hear your predictions as well. Drop those in the comments. Let's get this win on Sunday. I'll be back either Sunday shortly after the game or at some point on Monday with my recap. So we will see you all again then. But until then, Miami Dolphins fans, enjoy the game on Sunday. Let's get the dub and fins up.